There we go. Hello, everybody. I'd like to call the meeting. Let's see. I will now call to order the meeting of the Newberg Urban Renewal Agency Budget Committee for May 6th, 2024. Rachel, will you please conduct roll call?
Yes, and just a reminder to everyone, this meeting is recorded. Philip Higgins,
Here.
Amanda Case. Excused, okay. Yes, you told me about that one. Jennifer Bean. Here. Joe Torella? Nope, okay. And I know Tony Elias is not here. Keenan O'Hearn? Is that okay? Cool. Ryan McDermott? Nope. Bill Rosacker?
Here.
Molly Olson?
Here.
Derek Carmen is absent. Peggy Kilberg?
Here.
Elise Yarnell Holloman?
Here.
Mike McBride?
Here.
And Robin Wheatley. And we do have a quorum.
We will now say the Pledge of Allegiance. I will now open the floor to public comment. Rachel, did we receive any public comment?
No.
I will now close the public comment session and will now turn the meeting over to our finance director, Katie Strode.
And I'm actually going to turn it back for the election of officers to you, Chair.
Thank you. The next item is conducting election for officers. First, we will take nominations for chair. Once we have a nomination, we'll wait for that to be seconded. You want me to continue through that script? Okay. And I will say I'm happy to continue to serve as the chair for another year since there was nothing to do the first year.
Higgins. I nominate Philip Higgins. I second that nomination.
Okay. Are there any other nominations? Shall we take a vote? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. The committee appoints Philip Higgins as chair to the budget committee for an additional year. Now we will take nominations for vice chair under the same process as above. Who's on the position? Yeah. You are here.
Yeah.
I would nominate Keenan.
Sure.
Second.
One.
No, you can't nominate as chair.
I can't. Oh.
It has to come from something.
I'd nominate Keenan.
I'll second that. Okay. Robin does too.
Any other nominations? We'll now take a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. Let the record show that motion carried. The committee has now appointed Keenan as vice president of the budget committee. Chair, I now turn the presentation over to the finance director for the budget presentation.
Thank you so much. I'm going to have Will read into the record our budget message.
Is this stuff always happen because I have a Scottish accent? Well met. Welcome to the second budget of the Newberg Urban Renewal Agency, NURA. The district, which activated a year ago, is continuing its work by adding additional and needed administrative elements while funding continues to accumulate. This will be a powerful generative force for the good of our community. You will see only a little activity in this budget document, or for that matter, perhaps in the next one or two, as time will need to pass to allow funds to accrue for NURA to launch projects. As stated last year, however, every journey begins with just a few steps. Our clear objectives continue to be to bring family wage jobs to our town, to redevelop sections of town that have the worst infrastructure, and to fight to make Newberg the most prosperous community in Oregon. When funds have been collected, they will be spent on projects identified in the Urban Renewal Plan. Our prior planning last year identified the highest priority projects within the urban renewal area. The majority of these projects focus on building infrastructure in the old mill site and the riverfront area to include water lines, wastewater pipes, stormwater drains, buildings, and improving roads for transportation. One notable first step in the NURA journey was the creation of a NURA Citizens Advisory Committee, or CAC, with its own delicious set of bylaws. This community-led effort will work to score possible capital projects in the future. These volunteers will have the task of sending recommendations forward to the NURA board for their consideration. Over time, NURA-driven projects will provide additional capacity for new development in our community. All projects identified were targeted to create no-frills infrastructure for the parts of town that will need it the most. This will result in new jobs for Newberg workers, more affordable housing options, and a more livable community that can be enjoyed by all of our residents. Along with this, projects to improve downtown Newberg, including additional parking, transportation improvements, and infrastructure improvements, will occur over time. For more details, you can visit this QR code link or the one that's printed on the page. In this budget, you will see only a few advances on last year. We are still at the beginnings of this mighty effort. However, over the next few years, things will definitely start to get real. Until then, be mighty.
Okay, thank you. So if you go to page 7 on the budget. So this is the budget document for next fiscal year. So you can see there's not a lot of activity again because the NURA is still kind of in the planning phases of what we're doing with the projects. So the beginning fund balance on there is the 423,000. That's what we've actually received this fiscal year for the tax increment funding. So it came in higher than what we were projected. A lot of that has to do with the taxing of the districts around us, and just property taxes came in higher than what we were expecting. So the funding for the NURA subsequently also came in higher than what we were expecting, which is a good thing. So for next year, we have our projections that we get from the NURA spreadsheet that we had done when we were implementing the agency, and then just from looking at the county records and stuff, that is what the projection is for next fiscal year, is for 426,000. And then going with that is also the 10,000 of prior taxes, because we'll start to receive those taxes collected from prior years that we weren't able to collect. And then we've just continued to budget a small amount of miscellaneous revenue and interest as well for this. And then you can see for the materials and services, there's a very small amount that we have budgeted. This is in case we have to have an audit or something. We wanted to have some of those funds already available readily for us to use. We really wouldn't have to have an audit unless we've had expenses. So if we haven't really done any of that, then that's irrelevant, but we just wanted to continue to put that in the budget again, just in case. And then the rest of it goes into the contingency until more of the funding is determined for what we're doing with the projects. Yes, did you have a question, Molly?
Yep. So we adopted 260, 495, but you're showing 423. So at the beginning.
Yes.
And so that what you're telling us is, hey, we've got 423. We came in higher than we thought.
Yes,
Thanks.
exactly. And that's because, like, for Newberg too, our property taxes came in higher than what we were expecting, just because of the local economy and the growth that we're experiencing, and other districts as well are experiencing growth in their property taxes. Do you have a question?
Okay, so the 426, that's what we brought in last year?
The 423.
The 420, okay,
Yeah.
okay, the 426 is what we think we're going to get.
Yes.
Next year.
Yeah, and that could be on the conservative side, because we're still not sure about some of the development that's coming on the roll and how much that is going to go into this. when we did the city's projection on property taxes, we took into account what we were estimating is going to go into the urban renewal for our side.
There we go. In terms of the 30-year forecasting that we did for this NERA budget, now do we adjust a little bit because we saw so much growth over what we were anticipating from last year?
We did a little bit, but it's still sort of unpredictable as to how much that's gonna be. Sometimes you can receive that property taxes sooner than what you were expecting because the development came on sooner than what you were anticipating in that model. So we've kind of kept it closer to what we were anticipating until we
Just
kind
to
of see.
balance it.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's hard to get a basis this early on with the Urban Renewal Agency until we start seeing more years collectively. Yes, did you have any comments?
So when we do the regular property tax projection for the whole city, of course, we have a myriad of data points so we can see the delta as it progresses year to year. Once we have 3 or 4 data points, we'll have a much more realistic ability to guess because the original tax increment funding spreadsheet was really purely speculative.
Thank you.
Is there a balance that we're waiting for to collect before we do anything? Or I guess we did try to do something last year, didn't we? Okay, that's right.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you for all of the wonderful data and reading all that into the record. I move that the Budget Committee of the Newberg Urban Renewal Agency approve the budget for the 24-25 fiscal year in the amount of $859,600 and to levy property taxes for the 2024-2025 fiscal year for the maximum amount of revenue that can be that may be raised by dividing the taxes under Section 1C, Article 9, no, is that 11 of the Oregon Constitution and ORS Chapter 457. Can I get a second?
I will second that.
So once again, we need actually someone else to make the motion as read by the chair and then a
Oops.
second.
Oh, so moved.
I second that.
I am not.
Can we call for a vote? All in favor? Say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Same sign. Let the record show the vote was unanimous in favor. And with that, the budget meeting is now adjourned. Thank you for my script.